everybody, happy Thursday and welcome to Collider Movie Talk for movie fans. I'm your host, Sinead DeVries, and this is the daily show where we bring you the latest news from the world of movies, plus some insight into what it all means. Joining us this morning is Perri Nemiroff.
Hello, guys, and welcome back to Collider Movie Talk. As always, I am so thrilled and honored to be hosting. My bangs are still in hiding, but we have a great lineup today. We have so many great stories to talk about, and I also have a freaking fantastic panel with me today. Sinead, who's joining me?
Also here is Miss Clarke Wolfe.
Hey guys, nice to see you and good morning.
And we also got Jeremy Jahns.
Nothing like a little bourbon in the morning. How you doing?
And Mr. John Rocha.
Hey everybody, we should just stop believing that Jeremy is from Seattle. He actually calls this shirt flannel.
Yeah, well,
like you're from Seattle where grunge started.
flannel.
You know what flannel is? This is plaid.
I called it LA flannel.
This is like, look how thin this is. Give me a break.
All right, let's just jump into our main story of the day before that spirals out of control. What do we got, Sinead?
THR yesterday picked up on an interview in which Casey Affleck had a few things to say about his brother in the role of Batman. And in doing so, may or may not have let slip some potentially big news. Appearing on WEEI's Dale and Holley with Keefe radio show, Casey Affleck seemingly let slip that his big brother Ben will not be suiting up for Matt Reeves the Batman movie. Speaking about it all, Casey Affleck said, "I thought he was an okay Batman. No, he was great. He was great. He's a hero, so he had something to channel and work with there. But he's not going to do that movie, The Batman, I don't think. Sorry to say. Is that breaking news? Because I was just kind of making that up. I don't know." Perri, do you think Casey Affleck let slip that Ben Affleck will not be playing Batman anymore after Justice League?
Okay. Before you guys get too out of control, because I'm not a fan of the rumor mill either. It is not a good atmosphere to create when you're just talking about anything that so-and-so says from whatever outlet. There is something to be said for the fact that this is his brother. This is his brother. But then again, you also need to understand that Casey Affleck is not officially part of the production of Batman. He is also not affiliated with the DCEU whatsoever. Really, you can't read that quote and fully understand the way he was trying to express himself. If you watch this video, it does seem like he was kind of caught off guard. He made a little bit of a joke about how he felt about Ben Affleck's performance of the Batman. And then after that, he did pretty naturally flow into saying, oh, he's not going to be Batman anymore. And it wasn't until the person conducting the interview said, oh, that's news, that he said, oh, like news? I take it back. I was just kind of making that stuff up. And even though that does make me think that maybe he knows something that we don't, because he is his brother and he has that kind of relationship, at the same time, we know nothing about their relationship. Who knows what these two brothers are talking about behind closed doors? If Casey Affleck does not know that by saying that he is sparking breaking news, then I am inclined to believe, in conclusion, that he does not really know what's going on behind closed doors of this production. That is what I'm thinking right now. I am not going to get too attached to whether or not he is going to play the Batman after Justice League until I hear the official word from Warner Brothers. Jeremy, how'd you take this?
Well, in a world where you're right, in terms of brothers, a brother knows more about his brother than anyone else. You know, it's the brotherly bond thing. And when you said that, you have to think maybe Ben Affleck said something coupled with the fact that Ben Affleck was like, I'm the luckiest man alive at Comic-Con. And when I really buckled down, I just don't give a fuck. It's one of those things.
There it is.
Where I have talked so much about whether or not Ben Affleck is going to be Batman, isn't going to be Batman. Until Ben Affleck comes out and says, hey guys, here's my plan for Batman, I can't actually muster the inner workings of my inner light to really give a shit. In fact, Rocha, I will tell you this right now, and I make you this promise.
Don't drag me into
The next time there is another rumor about whether or not Ben Affleck may or may not be Batman, I'm going to look dead in the camera, and I'm going to describe and review the porn I watched last night.
Whoa!
That's where it's going to go.
Hopefully I won't be hosting that show. Clarke, what do you think about this story?
I mean, look, I think that it's fair for the audience and for fans to take it with a bit of skepticism. I think, you know, Casey Affleck was probably just talking out of his ass, and that's fine. I do think, though, I mean, like, I don't know why us covering this is news to anybody. All we do is speculate on stuff. That's what we do on this show. So, like, I don't understand why this is so controversial. controversial. You guys know, and you guys get mad at me every time I say it, and it's fine. When I said back in December, I don't think Ben Affleck sounds like a guy who's going to be directing the Batman, y'all got really mad at me, and y'all said, Clarke, why do you hate DC so much? Why do you hate Ben Affleck? And that's not true. I just did not, from everything that we had heard up until that point, didn't sound like a guy who was going to be directing and starring in a major tentpole. And so we found out a couple months later that no, he's not directing the movie. And I still am of the opinion, and I know it makes you guys mad, but I still don't think he's going to be playing the Batman. Now, do I think Casey Affleck confirmed anything? No, not really. But I'm telling you, I still don't think Affleck's going to do it.
All right, Rocha.
Well,
what do you think?
This is interesting. This is like a combustible thing to walk into because you're right. Clarke's right. DC fans have been super upset, and they were upset yesterday. Peter Salella over at Slash Film was talking about he'd gotten the worst comments he'd ever gotten yesterday. Comments about his weight, comments about his look by DC fans, you know, the kind of vitriol that spews out from them sometimes because they're angry. And I get it. I wrote a column about this, exploring this. I get it. DC fans just feel like they're being picked on all the time because their films haven't reached the level or the love that you get for the Marvel films. So a story like this breaks. Casey Affleck, this is Ben Affleck's brother. They have a very tight relationship. There's numerous articles and interviews. You can see that they have a tight relationship. So would he know something? Possibly. You know how boys are. Boys ball bust. Boys let slip out. And also with celebrities, you don't know how tired he was, how many hours of sleep he had. You know how it is you as a human being. When you don't have enough sleep, your walls come down and you say things you don't mean, then you walk it back. When you wake up and you, oh shit, I shouldn't have said that, blah, blah, blah. And so you hear that in the interview, there's walking back. But I think it's interesting because this is the first public statement by anybody since Comic-Con. Since Ben Affleck said, I'm going to do the film, I would play a monkey on the ground or ape on the ground, whatever he said, to be in a Matt Reeves film. So this is an interesting thing that it's his brother. I think that's why it's news. It's because it's his brother. It's his blood. And his blood saying stuff like this, it calls into question a lot of stuff. And we keep hearing all these rumors that are trying to, quote unquote, gracefully move Ben out. And Warner Brothers hasn't issued a comment about this, hasn't said anything. And maybe that's the way of going, like, we're not going to grace this with a comment. But I think something this big, because it's his brother, not some boy from back in his hood, this is his brother. I think this is something that should be addressed with a comment saying yes or no. Or this is just Casey talking out of that. Or even Ben should come out, or Casey should come out, like Josh Brolin did 2 days later with the whole James Cameron thing, saying, like, the media made this up. I didn't mean it to be compatible with all this kind of. So there's a lot to explore here in terms of their connection as brothers. Did he let it slip? Possibly. He may have, and Clarke may be right. He may not be playing Batman. There's been all kinds of rumors about this. So this just adds another level to it. So I don't want to hear about Jeremy's porn, but I do think this stuff, I do think until Ben Affleck is there on day one, on the set with Matt Reeves, I won't believe that he's actually going to 100% play Batman. There's just too much smoke that to not see a fire.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's fair analysis all around, and really, that's what we're here for on Movie Talk. I do understand the frustration of a movie you're really excited about and hearing it's not going as planned, whether it's the way you want it to run or the way the studio originally wanted it to run. But what we can always promise you here is we are going to take these stories. We're not going to perpetuate rumors, but we will dissect it, and we'll give you some honest opinions so that you could take what you will from that and then make your own. So if you have thoughts and want to add to this conversation, put them in the comment section below. We want to hear it. Be fair, be kind, and we can really dissect this and talk about it in an appropriate way. On that note, let's move on to story number 2 today. Sinead, what is it?
Earlier this week, we learned that Tom Cruise suffered an injury during filming on Mission Impossible 6. Now, Deadline reports that Cruise has sustained a broken ankle and the production will need to shut down for at least 9 weeks. However, director Christopher McQuarrie also spoke to Empire, confirming that Cruise broke his ankle while also revealing that it doesn't necessarily mean the movie will be delayed. McQuarrie says that he will simply rearrange the order in which they were going to in which they were going to film, assess what needs to be shot, and then shift attention to editorial once they go on hiatus. As of now, the movie has not been announced as moving from its July 27th, 2018 release date. Rocha, do you think Mission Impossible 6 will be delayed from its summer 2018 release?
I think at this point you can't say for sure one way or the other because it just happened. So we don't know how severe these ankle injuries are. And also when you, Tom Cruise is not a young man. So his healing may take longer than they think. So it may be the full 9 weeks, but it may be shorter. Who knows what kind of stuff he's got, what kind of trainers he's got, medical staff he's got to help him. You know, people, if you know sports, people talk about the Phoenix Suns training staff. They somehow bring athletes back at higher rates, healed better than other staffs in other cities, in other teams. So this he may have the highest level medical team to get him back on staff, to get him back ready to shoot the film. But McQuarrie has done this. He mentions this. How about his experiences in Valkyrie? He had to adjust and move around. So it's a big film. There's a lot of shots to be had. There's a lot of action shots. There's a lot of shots that you don't need Tom Cruise for necessarily. And it's an ensemble film. So if you move schedules around and shoot around it to make it so that when Tom comes back, you have a more concentrated schedule, more focused schedule, and you shoot his stuff back to back to back, then you're able to do it. So at this point, I don't think it's going to move. I think McQuarrie's that kind of experienced filmmaker. Maybe if this was a first-time filmmaker, I might say, yes, it's going to move. But McQuarrie has had this experience on Valkyrie already. So I think at this point, you can't say it's going to move yet until we get a little more information on how serious his injury actually is and if there's really enough shots for him to move around and shoot around before Tom Cruise comes back.
That's kind of how I reacted to the news initially. Once they said, oh, he broke his ankle and it's something like how long was the
9 weeks.
9 weeks. That's a long time. That's a long time on a production that is of this scale. So I was just assuming that no matter what they said, it was going to have to move no matter what. And even though Paramount did release that statement, I was still thinking, all right, that's wishful thinking. I understand setting your goal there and then having to push it back. But then I read the Chris McQuarrie quotes, and he is a filmmaker that I really trust. I covered the crap out of Rogue Nation, and I did a number of interviews with him where I was at the premiere, where I sat with a whole bunch of other journalists during a roundtable interview, and he just gave an unusual level of insight into his process that made me think that, I understand how he works. I understand the passion that he has for every single thing he does, and when he breaks down the process of what a delay would mean, I kind of trust him, and it also does make sense. If they have shot a significant portion of this film and they are able to, let's say, go into post a little early on some parts and then come back and shoot more later, that to me sounds like almost like a blessing in disguise where they can go into that edit suite, assess what they have, and then use that later production time to shoot whatever they hadn't shot already and also fill in gaps that they didn't realize existed. So I think this actually might turn out to be a good thing for them. Of course, that's not really considering the fact that it is an ensemble and scheduling conflicts could pop up with the other actors, but this doesn't sound like that bad of a deal to me. And, whether it moves or not, I do trust that this team is going to make a good film in the end. How are you feeling about this, Clarke?
Yeah. Well, first, I want to disagree with Rocha. Rocha, Tom Cruise is a young man. The Mummy told me so.
Yes,
in The Mummy, they specifically call him a young man.
Yes,
so,
they did.
They really?
That was a 50-year-old acting like a 30-year-old.
Yeah,
right?
it was
It did
ridiculous.
not work anymore.
I think, look, McQuarrie and Cruise have a really good relationship, and I think honestly they know each other at this point. I don't think McQuarrie would push Cruise to do something he's not ready to do, and I don't think Tom Cruise, who's such a physical actor, is willing to injure his body further in order to hurry up. If anything, I think Tom Cruise has the clout to say, no, you will wait for me, and I think, and rightfully so. But yeah, to your point about an ensemble piece, I think that's right. Like there's a lot of other members of the team, I think, that are at play here, and so they can certainly make some things happen with them. And look, at the end of the day, I understand that the summer release dates are coveted by all studios because the summer is so crammed now, and it would be a big deal for Paramount to have to sort of scramble and figure out, okay, this is our big tentpole blockbuster, where are we going to put it? But I do think, like you said, Perri, it might be a blessing in disguise to sort of look around, reassess, and figure out what they can do with the time that they have. So I'm not worried about it. I think at the end of the day, they're not going to want to injure Cruise further because that means no more Mission Impossible movies.
So, Jeremy, what do you think? Could this actually work in MI6's benefit?
Yeah, it looks like in terms of a broken ankle or a broken bone, they're making it work the best I've ever seen a studio do, and it is Tom Cruise. You want to protect the guy. The guy's famous for running and he broke his foot. Like, that's there's a reason MMA fighters tap out when they're getting their arm broken because that's the lifeblood right there. It's like, Tom Cruise can't operate without a foot. What is he going to do, walk in his action movies? No, the man runs. There are YouTube videos of montages of him running. It's what he does.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that they're making it work out. I agree with the scheduling conflicts. That is, like, it's not one person that's being affected. It's an ensemble of the many. So you have to take that into account. I'm interested in what their contracts say that they can or cannot do. If they're going to have to CGI mustaches out of more people, I don't know if they're going to have to do that anymore. But maybe Henry Cavill can shave his mustache and then grow another one by the time, because Cavill's in this, right?
Mm-hmm.
There you
That
go.
he is.
No more
Yep.
CGI mustache for the Justice League. I think this all works out for everybody. So
Yeah, everyone actually wins then.
yeah, I feel like in terms of a busted ankle, this is the best case scenario, that it could be for a busted ankle. But it's kind of funny that the last Mission Impossible was pushed forward 3 months, and this one's being pushed back. So
Oh, yeah.
Mission Impossible is evening itself out. That's just life.
You do bring up a good point, though. I know you were kind of joking about how Tom Cruise just runs and runs and runs, but this isn't someone just trying to get through one action movie. I have a feeling, even though this happened to him, in his mind, Tom Cruise has no plans to stop doing his own stunts
Yeah.
anytime soon. So when you're talking about healing a broken ankle, he's got to take it pretty damn seriously, because if he jumped back on that set before that ankle was
Right.
ready to go,
Snap.
that could be a big problem for him down the line.
Oh,
so
absolutely.
I'm kind of happy that they're going to take their time with this. All right, so now it's time for opening this week, and we have a movie I'm really excited to talk about. Logan Lucky, Sinead, tell us about it.
West Virginia family man Jimmy Logan teams up with his one-armed brother Clyde and sister Melly to steal money from the Charlotte Motor Speedway in North Carolina. Jimmy also recruits demolition expert Joe Bang to help them break into the track's underground system. Complications arise when a mix-up forces the crew to pull off the heist during a popular NASCAR race, while also trying to dodge a relentless FBI agent.
All right, who have any of you seen Logan?
No.
Not seen Logan Lucky.
Who is really looking forward to Logan Lucky?
Me?
It took me so long. It basically took me until I saw the movie to stop calling it Lucky Logan. So I'm glad we got past that, but really, I just freaking loved this thing.
Okay.
I'm a big fan of Soderbergh, and I was going to see anything that he made. The thought of him making a heist movie after all the Ocean's movies did make me think, oh, you know, it would suck if it was kind of the same thing set in a new location. But weirdly enough, it worked in his benefit, where he had all of the typical things that I'm used to him delivering in those kinds of movies, but then there's just enough personality and flair to it to make it something different and something special. So I think that having that groundwork already laid for himself kind of made him jump even further with it. And it is so much fun. That whole ensemble, Daniel Craig, I mean, we were all talking about him after we saw him in the trailer. There is no doubt that when more people start seeing this movie, they're going to keep talking about him, because he is having so much fun in this movie, and you're having fun because of it. Are you excited, Rocha?
Absolutely. We talked about this on the Top 10 show. We did Top 10 heist films, and Soderbergh was the inspiration for it, of course, and all the Ocean's movies, except for Ocean's 12, of course, is terrible. 11 and 13 are fantastic. And I think this is Soderbergh going back to a smaller well, and it feels a little bit like a combination of the best of Soderbergh and the best of the Coen brothers. It's got that kind of vibe of Raising Arizona, that kind of Oh Brother, Where Art Thou, thrown into this idea of a heist film. You know, Adam Driver looks like he's having the time of his life. Channing Tatum. He's using these actors in the right way, it seems like. And Daniel Craig getting to like explore and play this kind of offbeat character after playing Bond for so many years. It's nice to see this kind of, like him spreading his wings a little bit and having a little fun and enjoying himself. So to me, this looks like fun. And NASCAR. I grew up in Virginia. NASCAR is huge in Virginia and in the South. So for me, this is like going back to my roots a little bit and enjoying something that I understand and know. I've been in the pits. I've been down there. It's a blast. So to see this set there, I couldn't be more excited.
Ready for the craziest toss question ever, Jeremy?
Yeah.
Are you going to see Logan Lucky this weekekend, or are you going to go see Hitman's Bodyguard a second time?
A second time? No, I would see Logan's. I almost called it Lucky Logan. You got in
Logan's
my
Lucky
head.
11.
I put that in your head.
No, I am looking forward to this because I like the cast. I like Soderbergh. I loved Ocean's 11. I never saw Ocean's 13.
What?
Because I saw Ocean's 12.
Yeah, that's fair.
So I
Ocean's
was like,
13
all right,
so
I'm gonna remember Ocean's 11 as being great, because it truly is a great heist movie. But I'm glad to see Soderbergh not go back to the familiar, but at least retouch on that which I know him for, you know, because Ocean's 11 was really I was interested in the premise. It was before I knew directors' names and whatnot, you know. So I was. It made Soderbergh for me, you know, and Channing Tatum's only gotten better. And I love that Adam Driver's doing this, because I come from a time, it seems like it's probably a little different now, but I come from a time back in the day, because I'm old as shit, where if you were in a Star Wars movie, you had to get other projects or you would be typecast as hell. And so I'm glad Adam Driver is actually doing a pretty good job of being like, I'm not just going to be Kylo Ren. I'll be other characters. So I think that's great too.
He's doing so much stuff.
Yeah.
If you haven't
Yeah.
seen Patterson,
Crazy.
go check that out. So, Clarke, are you excited because of all the hype around Logan Lucky, or have you been looking forward to it for a while now?
It hasn't actually been on my radar for very long, but I am a big Soderbergh fan. If you haven't watched his show, The Nick, it is exceptional, and he directed every episode. You know, this is, I like all these actors. I think, you know, Daniel Craig specifically, like he has more range than I think audiences necessarily think of because he has been James Bond in their eyes for so long. But yeah, I think it looks like a lot of fun. I know Soderbergh was retired from movies, and then he came out of retirement to make this movie, and I guess now he's going back into retirement. Yeah, we'll see. He's like Jay-Z. But yeah, I'm just glad we have it. And look, you know, this summer, I hope that Logan Lucky does well. I hope it finds its audience because I think we've seen with Baby Driver, as an example earlier in the summer, that audiences are interested in offbeat, fun, quirky, exciting, fun, or I'm sorry, original movies. And so hopefully Logan Lucky will follow in those footsteps.
I sure hope so. But right now, it's time for Buy or Sell, the time of the show when we get to talk about a topic and say whether we buy or sell it. Sinead, what's first on the list?
Yesterday, Ron Howard took to Twitter to share yet another picture from the set of his upcoming young Han Solo movie, and in doing so, offered up one of the biggest teases yet. In his post, the director wrote, "The Empire looms large," and then offered up a picture of a swooping black helmet laying over a control panel, a helmet distinctly worn by Death Star troopers on board the Death Star. The internet then quickly filled in the gaps, declaring that the space station must be in the upcoming movie. Jeremy, do you buy or sell the Death Star appearing in the young Han Solo movie?
I'm wondering the context because there's that line when Obi-Wan Kenobi goes, "That's no moon, that's a space station." And Han Solo, surprisingly, or surprised to him, goes, "That's too big to be a space." And he stops. He's like, "Oh my God, that's a huge space station that I've never seen in my entire life." And so that concerns me that the Death Star is in this because if it is, Han Solo will never interact with it, or he will, and it'll be a loophole. So I see that to know that the Death Star exists in that world at that time, or that universe at that time, that makes complete sense. How big a role it's going to play, I don't want it to be a cameo like, "Hey, look at the Death Star because we need to make Death Star merch." I don't want that shit. I just don't want that. If they never showed the Death Star, or they did show the Death Star, I feel like the Han Solo path in the movie would be no different. So I have to wonder, why show the Death Star?
That was the same scene, obviously, that went through my mind the moment I saw this, because really, the first impression that I got is that there's no way they could make that work where his surprise is still legitimate. Like, he should be surprised in that moment. Then I started to backtrack and think, oh, you know, if he saw it in its really early stages, maybe it would make that moment more effective, that he saw it when it was, you know, itty bitty or in pieces, and then all of a sudden he got there and it's like, whoa, and maybe it would add more to that moment. I still lean towards the other being the more likely thing that's going to wind up happening if they do include something like that. But, you know, we also have to ask the question, how much would they show? And also, is this even what Ron Howard's teasing? It seems like he is to me, because why would you take a picture of any other helmet but that helmet? Why would you take a picture of it sitting on any other control panel but that control panel? And I'm also a little disappointed because Rogue One heavily featured the Death Star. Are we going to do it again with another standalone film? So I don't want it to be true, but I guess I would buy it because I think it is true that it's going to be in it.
You know what I see? I see a bit of a wasted opportunity if it's going to concentrate on the Death Star, because by implication, if it's on the Death Star, it's not on Coruscant, and I have not seen Coruscant in the Imperial Age. Like, I want to see what it looks like. Are the cars still in full force? Are people in, like, the soup lines? Like, I mean, it's got to suck because everyone hates the Empire, so I'd like to see that economy. And if we're concentrating more on the Death Star, I feel like we're not going to.
When you're called on, please make sure you get all your points in at once.
Yeah,
you're
I'm sorry.
into my time, you son of a...
You know why?
No,
because
listen,
I springboard off of Perri. Perri brings it out.
I agree with what Jeremy is saying. I agree with the Coruscant too as well. But listen, do I buy or sell? That's the question. I sell it. I don't. I'm actually now in this camp, and I wasn't before. Enough with the Death Star. We get it. If you're going to go back to the Star Wars story, you can mention it. You can talk about it. But showing it is starting to become this kind of like required thing to do in these standalone movies, and it is starting to bother me. What other thing is starting by is I love Ron Howard to pieces, from Opie to Richie Cunningham to directing to all this kind of stuff. I'm a massive Ron Howard fan in Imagine Entertainment, big fan of his stuff. Please stop tweeting out these pictures. Enough. I know what you're doing. You're trying to like smooth over the Lord and Miller situation. You're trying to do PR stuff. I get it. You're trying to make us all happy to watch this movie again. Just focus on making a good movie. That's all we care about. I don't need these tweets. I don't need these pictures. None of this gets me super excited to see the movie. Show me a trailer. That's going to get me super excited to see the movie. This kind of stuff just feels like you're doing like overdue PR to save the situation from the Lord Miller fiasco. And so to me, I buy or sell. Yes, I sell it because I don't want to see it, but I also don't want to see these pictures. I want him to stop tweeting. Just focus on focus on making the movie.
So my two toss questions for you were: one, do you think we're going to get the Death Star? And two, do you want the Death Star? But after catching your reaction to what Rocha said out of my peripheral vision, I want to know what you think about Ron Howard's tweets.
Yeah, I actually 100% agree with you, Rocha. I am in the exact same boat. This just screams to me of like, hey, remember that thing? Forget that thing. Forget that thing. Look over here. Look over here. Look at the shiny thing. And the shiny thing just so happens to look like the Death Star, maybe. Look, I'm not into it. Like, I don't want to see these kinds of teases. And by the way, they're so frequent. Like it's so unlike most directors that we know who are working on Star Wars. Like, sure, they're able to give a little tease here and there, but the fact that he's doing it so much, like, by the way, Ron Howard himself isn't walking around going, oh, I should tweet this. I mean, like, this is clearly Disney PR, like, doing this from his account, or at least he's doing it, but with their, probably nudging. So yeah, I sell it, and I kind of agree too. Like, I don't really need more Death Star. I kind of want to see a character thing. I want to see an adventure. Like you said, Perri, Rogue One did the Death Star. We spent a lot of time there, and obviously we have the original film. So it's a sell for me.
All right, let's move on to our last buy or sell. I believe there's a little spoiler warning needed for this one. Sinead, what is it?
A new international trailer for Thor Ragnarok has landed online, and it reveals one of the film's Marvel cameos that was previously teased in a post-credit scene from another Marvel movie. And just in case you haven't seen that movie, we'll be issuing a small spoiler alert, like Perri said. So in one of the post-credit sequences for Doctor Strange, Chris Hemsworth's Thor comes to Earth seeking Doctor Strange's help in finding Loki. And with the new international trailer for Ragnarok, we finally get more of that meeting, as Doctor Strange features prominently at the beginning. We'll no doubt see more of that relationship when Thor Ragnarok hits theaters on November 3rd. Clarke, do you buy or sell the new international trailer for Thor Ragnarok?
I buy it so hard. I cannot buy this enough. I am so excited for Thor Ragnarok. And this is kind of the rare instance where the more I see, the more I'm like, yes, yes. Because sometimes, we say it on the show all the time, like, stop showing me trailers, you've got my money, like, I don't need anymore. But it's just making me that much more excited. Everything about this movie looks great. I also liked, and, to be honest, I might have missed a previous trailer where the same shot was used, but I liked seeing Mark Ruffalo as Mark Ruffalo, like human Mark Ruffalo. That was very exciting to me. And so, yeah, big buy.
All right,
I was
Jeremy.
making my coffee, and Clarke was talking to herself watching the trailer. I'm not kidding. And she was like, oh, my God, this is going to be so good. And the whole time I was making my coffee, like, looking, I was like, oh, she's so cute. Like, literally cheering at the trailer by herself at the table.
I was really excited.
Yeah, it's like, Waititi has that effect on people. Jeremy, how do you feel about Doctor Strange in this trailer, and is there anything else in it that really stuck out to you?
Well, it's really funny because there is another trailer where it does show Mark Ruffalo, so I get your excitement. This is the first time you've seen a lot of these shots. There was a fair amount of these shots that were used in previous trailers. It was expanded in this trailer, though, where Hela walks down and she says something like, I thought you'd be happy to see me, or something like that. We saw the shot. We didn't get that dialogue. I am selling this trailer on the simple fact that we needed a spoiler warning to talk about the trailer. I don't like the fact that it showed Doctor Strange. This is what Rocha's over here melting down, if you guys can see it. It's like literal. I saw him. You looked like the guy from Raiders of the Lost Ark whose face was okay, so this is why, is that I feel like Doctor Strange isn't going to be a prominent presence in the movie, and I get that all the Marvel movies are woven together, so you're going to see characters bob and weave out of other properties. But I feel like that's the only part that's going to have Doctor Strange, and that would have been a neat thing to save for the movie. The fact that I saw it in the trailer is going to detract from that. the trailer was great without the Doctor Strange stuff. I don't know why you needed it. So for that alone, I'm going to sell this.
Well, the spoiler alert wasn't there because, oh my God, we're about to spoil the movie with this trailer here. But, you know, for the few folks out there who did not see the very end of Doctor Strange and had no idea that Benedict Cumberbatch was a part of Ragnarok at all, it felt only fair, just in case. But I do hear your point. I was very surprised. So I didn't read any headlines, any write-ups about this, anything at all. I just played the trailer, and when the first thing was Doctor Strange, I'm like, oh, you guys, you're just going there, aren't you? And, you know, I love Doctor Strange, so fine by me, because I have the same problem with Thor Ragnarok promotional material where I don't think I'm going to be capable of saying stop. I'm going to keep gobbling up everything I possibly can get until that movie comes out because it's so much fun. And I really think that every single Taika Waititi movie has that kind of effect where whether I'm talking about What We Do in the Shadows, Hunt for the Wilder People, those movies are, one, so much fun to watch and have so much heart that is the perfect example of a movie that is well worth a repeat viewing. With Doctor Strange, though, what I liked most about what I saw in this trailer was the fact that it looked like Thor was wearing the same clothes as he was in that post-credit scene from Doctor Strange. And I do kind of like the idea of that not just being a post-credit scene, but being somewhat woven into Ragnarok. So that part sounds good to me. Rocha, how you feeling about this?
Oh, absolutely. I'm with Clarke and you. Like, I absolutely love this. I buy it so much. I will take Jeremy's money and buy it for him. Like, I am so excited for this, you know. I sat through that Hall H panel, and I was just giddy. And Emma will tell you, I shot out of my chair after that trailer showed and was clapping like something out of Citizen Kane. I was like... I was just crazy excited about it because I wanted to see this movie immediately after that trailer finished. And this trailer makes me even more excited for the film. I love that it's called, in Japan, Battle Royale, which if you remember, Battle Royale is an awesome film as well, awesome Japanese film as well. So to have that going on, it's got the great vibe to it. I love the Japanese voiceover guy. He's fantastic. Because you're asking me if I sell the trailer. So I'm talking about the whole trailer. I buy the trailer. Absolutely. And I love that Doctor Strange leads us in because of what Perri mentioned, that end scene in Doctor Strange, which Taika Waititi directed. So it's the vibe that just bleeds into the movie. And they're going to find their father, Anthony Hopkins, Odin. They're going, Loki and join together. We have Tessa Thompson looking even more badass as Valkyrie. And Hela, Cate Blanchett. It's otherworldly how incredibly powerful and gorgeous and sexy and just amazing she looks. And like acting, she looks like nothing is going to overwhelm her. And that's so powerful to watch on screen, because one of the things that is a dearth in the Marvel movies is good villains. And she looks like she's going to be a fantastic villain. And we all love when Loki and Thor come together to do something. And Clarke's absolutely right. Seeing Mark Ruffalo as the human being, just that whole awkward thing that they do there, instead of pounding, they do this. Like, all of that is just brilliant. That lets you know there's going to be a great vibe to the film. And if you're at that Hall H panel, you sense from the whole cast the kind of fun they were having making the movie. So this radiates in. And I love that Doctor Strange is another element of it too, because again, these are fringe characters in the Marvel universe. So to see them come together on a mission, just looks amazing.
So a whole lot to love in the Thor Ragnarok trailer. A whole lot to love right here on Collider as well. Was that a good Mark Ellis segue? Kind of? I don't know.
That was perfect.
That was beautiful.
All right. So we have a whole bunch of stuff to share with you right now. So I don't know. Write this down something. You're going to want to look out for all these videos on our channel. We have Daily Heroes, of course, so keep an eye out for that. We also have a new episode of TV Talk going live right after Movie Talk. And I'm so excited because I get to be on it to talk about Orphan Black, which is one of my favorite shows ever, ever, ever. We also have a brand new episode of Comic Book Shopping that dropped yesterday featuring John Schnepp, of course, with Robert Meyer Burnett, so go check that out. And then, another thing I'm very excited about, A Schmodown. It's coming tomorrow. It is with some of the ladies from Glow, which is a fantastic show. It's streaming now on Netflix if you haven't checked it out already. There's also more fantastic ladies on that episode that aren't in Glow. Clarke Wolfe.
if I have my way, I'll be there in season 2. Yeah, this is going to be a crazy match. I'm like super excited for this match because, there's all that stuff that went down with the Misfits. I was very happy that they asked me to join their faction, but ultimately I said no. And then Brienne just couldn't wait to get her shot at me, which big mistake. But that's okay. So it's okay. She's gonna find out that she has bit off more than she can chew. And so we're having a little pre-match with, of course, our ladies of Glow. It's gonna be so fun. I cannot wait.
I think you're going to be in pretty good company, even without the Misfits.
Thank you.
So we also have a brand new episode of Jedi Council that's dropping later today. Keep an eye out for that. And of course, this guy right here on Awesome-tacular. Yeah, you can brace yourself for a whole bunch of that. The brand new episode comes out tomorrow, and you can always find that in the description section of Movie Talk. Find the link right there. Watch it. It is a great show. Before we jump into mailbag, I want to remind you that we're going to save some time for your live Twitter questions. So start sending them over to the Collider Video Twitter account. Sinead's going to pick some good ones, but right now she's going to read the mailbag question. What do we got?
Gunther writes, what is the all-time best movie theme song? Is it Star Wars or Indiana Jones or maybe even Jaws? Superman? James Bond? Would love to hear the panel choose their all-time favorite. Thanks and keep it filthy.
Rocha.
Two.
I'm putting the pressure on you.
Yeah, that's fine. You can put the pressure on me. It's Rocky.
Nice.
And it's James Bond. I absolutely love those two. Those two, every time I hear them, I'm like I just flip out. So I know Back to the Future, Superman, all those Indiana Jones, those are all great. But to me personally, it's Rocky and James Bond. Whenever I hear those, whenever James Bond theme comes on in a movie, I'm just like super excited. And the Rocky film it's been an essential part of my life for a majority of years. So whenever I hear the theme song, it has so many memories, and it's just got a lot of layers for me, like an onion, a lot of layers. So I enjoy that so much.
Now I understand what you meant. Thank you for explaining that. I feel like the only way to answer this question is personally, because obviously nobody could say, what is definitively the best theme song out there. And with me, it tends to be what I whistle the most often. And most of the people in this office know that all too well. But I don't stop whistling, surprise, surprise, the Jurassic Park theme all day, all night. I whistle a lot, and it's typically that. I will cheat a little bit too and say that a lot of whistling is happening of the Game of Thrones theme right now. And I also can't hear that song anymore without thinking of the Rat lyrics. You can ask Grace Hancock about that, but they are delightful. Clarke, what are you going for on this one?
Yeah, mine's a tie, and it's a tie because they both bring out the same feelings in me. It's the Superman theme, and it's Indiana Jones, the Indiana Jones theme, because I, or Raiders theme, whatever, nerds. But whoa. No, but I think the reason I love them so much is because they are clean, heroic anthems that are fun but powerful at the same time, and they just inspire like a feeling of good, and I really love that. So those are two from my childhood. I mean, when you're discovering movies and you're discovering big blockbusters and what heroes mean to you on the big screen, those were two that were really important in my childhood. And I will say, like, even now when I feel like the Supergirl theme on the TV show is reminiscent on purpose of the Superman the movie theme. And so every time I see Kara like doing stuff and it kind of reminds me of that, I'm like, this is so cool.
You looked like you got pissed there. Did someone steal your pick?
Yeah, you stabbed me right in the heart when you took Jurassic Park. That was but it's fine. You know why? Perri. That's why. Because we're linked like
it
that.
It ain't a movie talk with the two of us without a Perri.
But I mean, I agree with you. That's the thing about these themes is that it's impossible to pick one. And the ones that stand out to me are the super heroic ones that make you like, I want to stop crime today. Dun, 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 dun. But then when I got older, I started getting more like glib, and I like the map room theme in Raiders of the Lost Ark, and I like the Krypton theme from Superman, like the themes that are woven within the soundtrack, which is usually track 2, 3, or 4. Those ones really start hitting me. But since you took Jurassic Park, I'll play fair, and I will.
You could pick Jurassic Park again. I'm all for all the Jurassic Park.
Yeah, well, I'm going to do Jurassic Park, but because you picked Jurassic Park, Back to the Future is so good.
Solid choice as well. All right, now it's time for your live Twitter questions. Sinead's going to read some out. I hope they're all about it and food, please. What do you got?
All right, so the CJ Hogan said, would Marvel ever have the guts to bring back Bruce Banner's father story into the MCU? What are your thoughts?
Like the Nick Nolte story? Well, I mean, it being unlinked from the Ang Lee one, it's the Nick Nolte story because they didn't go there initially, and his origin story is not linked to his father. They kind of spell that out in the Incredible Hulk movie, so I don't see a need to.
Yeah, I think I'm with you on that, especially given the seeds they've already planted for that character and what we're supposed to be looking for in Ragnarok and what we're supposed to be looking for when he appears in other movies. That seems just so out of left field. There could be a worthwhile way to work it in, but I'm just not seeing the early signs of it at all.
Yeah, I'm cool with I'm cool with not doing that.
Yeah, I mean, Spider-Man Homecoming showed us we don't need an origin story. Let's just go forward. Like, we love Ruffalo, we love his Hulk. If you want to give him a separate film coming out of this, then give it to him. We don't need to see his dad, the Betty Ross and Thunderbolt Ross. That's what we need to see. Sorry. Yeah.
Oh, please.
No, go ahead. That was it.
I was just going to say that if anything, I want to see more from Bruce. Like,
Yes,
I want to see
absolutely.
more Ruffalo.
Bruce Banner, yeah.
I get that, you know, the Hulk is funny and big and cool and badass, but like, you have Mark Ruffalo.
Yeah.
Like, let's see him. That's all.
Dennis is currently trolling us right now. you guys so wrong about Hulk and his dad. Do you guys even comic, bro? Thanks for your input, Dennis.
You don't want to hear me. You
saying
want
that
to
right
hear
now.
Nick Nolte? You don't want to hear
All right, I think we need to move on to another Twitter question. What is it, Sinead?
At S Gonzalez 15 says, It and Kingsman are both coming out next month. They're both rated R. What's making more money?
It. Oh, I probably just ruined some people's ears with that. You guys know I'm really excited about it. There was a recent report that dropped that I think it said it's looking to break records in September. I think the numbers were $50 million plus, which would be huge. I was telling Clarke before we started taping that when I've been trying to figure out how much money it can make at the box office, and I'm talking about months ago, just leading up to all the hype that we're getting now, I kept looking at The Conjuring because The Conjuring is one of the biggest recent horror hits, and that movie made something like, I think it's between like 40 and 42 million. So I'm always thinking, oh, you know, maybe it'll creep up just a little higher than that. But no, it sounds like it's going to blow it out of the water and it's going to make a ton of money.
I actually think I'm going to go big on it. I think it's going to go 60 plus. I think people really want to see this movie. I sincerely believe that. And I think the reviews, once they start coming out, are probably going to be very positive. I mean, it's the most watched trailer on YouTube. Like, it's a very, very it appears that this is going to be a very mainstream movie.
All right, so we've kind of covered it. Do you guys have anything to add on Kingsman? Do you think it's going to do okay?
You want me to give you a second?
No, go ahead.
Okay. I would also say it based on trailer reaction. Like the trailer got I'm going to judge the movie of what it can gross based on the interest, which is based on the trailer views. So in that but there's something to be said about James Bond with, you know, modern day James Bond. But,
Yeah, what you said is right. It's tracking pretty high. You look at all the articles; it's tracking high. I thought it might not make as much as Kingsman because Kingsman came out of nowhere and people love all the characters and they're putting it in America this time. You know, they're having all these American actors coming in, being a part of it. But I think you're right. I think this desire to see a really good horror film, even from people who don't go see the smaller horror films like Annabelle Creation or whatever from the Blumhouse stuff, which is great, they are going to be attracted to see this. There's not enough people that hate clowns to not go, to affect the box office of this thing. And me, I'm scared out of my mind to go see this movie, and I'm still going to put myself through it.
But that's the point. That's the point. People who hate clowns are going to see it. That's why they're going to see it.
I've got 3 friends who are abhorrent about us posting any of these like trailers on our Facebook feeds.
Oh,
They get so mad. They've muted all of us because
they're missing
they
out.
can't
They're
handle.
missing out.
I mean, when he's like, "We all float down here," they're flipping out. So it's insane.
Kingsman, though, is a little bit of a toss-up to me,
Yeah.
just because, you know, we're talking about it making 50 plus, and then you look at Kingsman 1, which opened with 36 million, and that was in 2015, and that's not that big of a gap for a first movie and then a sequel, but I guess I'm not hearing as much hype about the Golden Circle.
Golden
Is that what it's
Circle,
called?
yeah.
As I thought I would, given how well the first Kingsman did, and it has more competition. So when it opens, it's opening against Home Again, which is a romantic comedy. It's also opening where the 2 weekends prior have had pretty much nothing of note. And then when Kingsman opens, it's opening against something called Friend Request, which I don't know much about. But then there's the Ninjago movie. And, you know, there's not much crossover there in terms of the audience it's going for. But, you know, if the past Lego movies make me think anything. It's that it could take away some of the box office money.
Well, and keep in mind, too, that the success story of Kingsman was its staying power.
Right.
It wasn't
Yeah.
opening big.
Right.
It was the fact that positive word of mouth kept that movie going over the summer, and then when it finally made its way onto VOD,
Yeah.
even more so. So I'm not expecting a huge opening weekend. The test is going to be if it can stick around until award season.
Yeah, and I think there's more question about Kingsman than there is about it.
Yeah,
And
I'd
that's
say
what
so.
makes it. If the answer to the question is, it's going to track higher.
All right, how about one more, Sinead?
All right, lots of horror questions coming in. So Devin Lott says, since part of the Nightmare crew is here, what horror or thriller movie scared you most as a child?
Oh, I have an answer. I think I've shared this answer on Nightmares before, but it's just a very distinct memory where I can remember. I remember how old I was. I remember the friend I was watching it with. I remember what her living room looked like, and it's when we watched Killer Clowns from Outer Space. I was probably 5 or 6 years old, and I didn't understand that it was a horror comedy, and it freaked me out. I just remember thinking that clowns with like a Slurpee straw were gonna like drink my insides, and I was terrified for a while. And then finally I grew up and horror became an everyday thing, and I quickly realized I wasn't supposed to be scared of that.
Funny enough, the miniseries, the It miniseries, I had a babysitter show this to me when I was like 5. And it truly traumatized me
We've hit it. We found it.
Yeah, legitimately like scared me to death. And then, scared me real bad. And then when I was 12, I saw The Exorcist at a sleepover, and I, without exaggeration, couldn't sleep well for a year after that. It scared me so bad.
What do you got, Jeremy?
The thing from my childhood that scared me the most is actually the Bumble from Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer.
Oh, that's fair.
But
I get it.
so frightening. But if you're talking horror movie that I saw on TV that my mom never knew I saw, was Silver Bullet.
Oh yeah.
And the dude like mutates into the werewolf. I slept under my covers for about 2 months, and I found out if you put your covers over you, turn a fan on, leave a little gap, you can get oxygen flow, and you can stay under your covers all night. Bam.
All right, Rocha.
Mine is Nosferatu, the German one. The German. I've talked about this on the Top 10 show when Cody and Copster were on a couple years ago. But like, I was raised. Both my parents worked, because they had to work jobs for us. So they put me in the hands of a 70-year-old lady that took care of me, Senora Lucila. And Senora Lucila would fall asleep early. And one night while both my parents were working, it was Halloween night. They were showing it on like the ABC late night channel. She had gone to bed and slept and fell asleep with the remote, like with the TV on. I had come downstairs, and what's on at 11 o'clock at night on black and white or sepia tone Nosferatu, and I'm underneath the coffee table losing my mother effing mind watching this film.
Oh, boy.
And I, like you, Jeremy, I could not sleep in darkness for a year afterwards. Like lights on in the bedroom all the time because that thing comes out of the shadows and the image of it. Forever, it will always be the scariest thing.
I would have had a
experienced.
similar answer had I not been exposed to the "Are You Afraid of the Dark" episode before Nosferatu. That used to scare me. Sinead, what scared you most as a kid?
I mean, I'm terrified of like all horror movies, so every scary movie I've ever seen has always freaked me out. But I think the first time it truly deeply affected me, which is like so shameful when I look back on it now, was The Ring.
Oh yeah.
I have like a thing about like paranormal, right? So I can watch like slasher movies all day long. The second somebody's like possessed or demonic or ghosts, I'm done. Like I can't handle it. So I watched The Ring in theaters, and like an idiot, we had parked like in the way back of the lot. So we were leaving the AMC in Illinois and like literally like sprinting, me and my sister like running to the car. My parents had gone out that night. So my sister and I stayed up all night waiting for them to get home, sitting on their bed, both of us in my parents' bed. And they probably walked in like I must have been 12 or 13. And my sister was like 16, 17, thinking that we were the biggest losers in the world, waiting for our mommy and daddy to get home. And we like locked all the doors, would not get off the bed because we were so afraid of like seeing something or whatever. But that was the first time I think that it affected me in such a way where I couldn't sleep.
All right, now that you guys have some much-needed nightmare fuel, I want to close out the show by thanking everybody behind the scenes over there. We've got Dennis, Cody, Adam. Thank you guys so much for all your hard work. And I want to thank all my great panelists. Clarke, where can everyone find you?
You can find me at Clarke Wolfe, Clarke with an E, Wolfe with an E. You can find me on the Stardust app. If you haven't downloaded it yet, do it. Follow me. I'm doing all kinds of fun things. And you can find me in the Glow Down this Friday right here on Collider.
And Jeremy?
You can find me at Jeremy Jahns on YouTube, Twitter, rest of the internet. My show, Awesome-tacular, is on Go 90, where usually there's someone here who I do stuff with. There's like, no, where I talk movies and stuff, and it's good. You can find me sleeping under my covers because here comes the Bumble.
All right, Rocha, where can everyone find you?
You guys can always find me at The Rocha Says on Twitter and Instagram. And this morning dropped a new episode of The Outlaw Nation. And like I mentioned, the Top 10 show, both of those on SK Plus podcast channel.
And Sinead.
I'm online at Sinead DeVries and at that'sosinead.com. I'll be back on Movie Talk tomorrow morning, as well as on TV Talk, bringing the synopsis. So be there.
And you guys can catch me on Twitter and Instagram at Nemiroff. Keep an eye out for Collider behind the scenes and bloopers coming your way this Saturday. It is all about the Schmodown Collision, so you're going to want to check that out if you want to see what it takes to put on an event like that, what goes on behind the scenes, all that good stuff. And you know what? I'll see you tomorrow too. So have a good Thursday, everyone. Hey guys, if you like this video, click the thumbs up button. Also, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. It'll help you stay up to date with everything we've got going on here at Collider.